Hello everybody, nice to see you. Welcome to my Facebook Live video. This is going to be a fascinating topic today, and you know what I'm talking about? During the course of a pretrial question and answer session, the doctor I was questioning got so angry he started yelling and screaming at me, to the point where he stood up, started bullying me, almost started threatening me, took his papers, threw it across the room, and then ran out of the room. You want to know what this is about? Come join me for a moment as I share with you some great information as I walk through the neighborhood and give you some really interesting information about what happened here. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. So now, I had an opportunity to question this doctor who's a plastic surgeon. We claim that this plastic surgeon caused my client significant harm and injury because he was careless. And as a result of that, now she suffered terrible injuries that required further corrective surgery. During the course of this lawsuit, I had an opportunity to go ahead and question the doctor in a pretrial process known as a deposition. Lawyers call this an examination before trial. Now, what is it? It's simply an opportunity for me to go ahead and question the doctor to learn from him exactly what it is that was going on, what he did, what he's thinking, why he did what he did, and to establish what the standard of care was. During the course of this questioning, I have an opportunity to go ahead and ask him all these great questions. Questions that I ask and the answers that he gives carries the same exact weight as if he is testifying at the time of trial. Imagine that. In this room, in the attorney's conference room, there's no judge there and there's no jury there. But instead, there is a court stenographer there. We call them court reporters. And the purpose of that is to record all of my questions and all of the doctor's answers. Normally, when I question a doctor, especially a plastic surgeon, they are so meticulously dressed. Everything is designed to a T, from their suit jacket to their collar to their tie to their cufflinks. They are usually meticulous. When this doctor walked in to his attorney's conference room, you know what he was wearing? He was wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. And in my entire career, I have never seen a doctor walk into a deposition knowing that we are going to be looking at him and judging his appearance and everything about him, and he just didn't care. That was one signal that told me there was a problem. All right, so now during the course of my questioning, I began to ask him questions about the standard of care. Now, why is it important for me to ask the doctor about the standard of care? It's because I need to know from this doctor exactly what good medical practice is. Doctor, would you agree that a patient who presents to your office with the following complaints, good medical care requires that you do A, B, and C? Yes, it would. Doctor, would you agree that when a patient first comes to your office, it's important to take a detailed and thorough medical history? Yes, I would. Now, why am I asking these questions? It's because I need to get the doctor to admit what the appropriate standard of care is for this type of problem. And in that instance, it is critically important for me to ask the doctor, what is good medical care? So now, what happens then? The doctor was getting more and more incensed that I was questioning his knowledge and experience about the standard of care for a patient who presents with the following problems. I haven't even gotten into the details of my client's case yet. But instead, what happens? I'm asking him questions simply about what is good medical care, doctor? Would you agree that a patient who presents with the following problems, it's good medical care after talking to the patient, getting a history, that you go ahead and do a detailed physical examination of the patient, correct? Yes. And it's important for you to go ahead and accurately record significant information about your findings, true? Yes. So now, every single one of these questions designed to focus on the standard of care, the doctor is getting angrier and angrier. I begin asking him questions about his credentials. Doctor, where did you do your medical school training? Where did you do your residency training? And now I began to question the name of his supervisor, the name of the chairman of the department. I began to ask him questions about things that had happened during the course of his residency training that didn't go so well for him. And you know what happened? He started to get very, very angry because he actually stood up and he starts yelling and screaming at me and says, "Who the heck are you?" And he didn't use those kind words. He was cursing his head off, screaming and yelling at me across the table. I could see the steam coming out of his ears. And you know what? I'm sitting there letting the doctor rant and rave. Why? Because I want all this on the record. Because I'm thinking, okay, there's a problem here. If he's getting so upset and so riled up because I'm now questioning something about the standard of care or his credentials, maybe, just maybe, he's trying to hide something. Doctor, in your career, have you seen patients who've had this particular problem? Yes, I have. And how many of these procedures have you done up until that point? Are you telling me I don't know how to do these things? Doctor, I asked you a question about how many procedures you had done up until this point. And again, he begins yelling and screaming. And at one point, he now stands up from his chair, starts hurling curses and screaming and yelling at me. And what happens then? He takes the papers that are sitting in front of him. He now throws them across the room. He stomps his feet, literally stomps his feet, and races out the door. The court reporter looks at me. I look at the court reporter. Now, I look at the defense attorney. The defense attorney's mouth has dropped to the floor. I have never seen something like this in my career, where a doctor has acted like a 2-year-old child throwing a tantrum, and now this guy races out the door. Well, it took the defense attorney probably about 30 seconds to recognize, holy cow, maybe I should run after my client to find out what the heck this was all about. So he goes running out of the room. And I turned to the court reporter and I said, have you ever seen anything like this in the course of your career? And you know what she says to me? I have never, ever seen that. I said, you know what? Neither have I, but it tells me something important. So what does it tell me? What information can I learn from this doctor's outburst? Well, a couple of things. One, the doctor's buttons can be easily pushed. So imagine this, we're now at trial, and the doctor is on the witness stand, and I ask him a series of questions questioning his credibility. How do you think he's going to react, and how do you think a jury is going to perceive his answers if he starts yelling and screaming at me? Now, it's highly unlikely the doctor would get up out of his seat on the witness stand at trial and run out of the courtroom. Okay, that would not be a good thing for him, because the jury would take that the wrong way and basically say, what's he trying to hide? What kind of nonsense is this that he gets up and he can't answer these questions? Why do I share this information with you? I share it with you just to give you a sense of one instance where a doctor I was questioning in a medical malpractice case actually went ahead, got so angry he was screaming and yelling at me, threw the papers across the table, ran out of the room. Why? Because here I was, an attorney, questioning his credentials, questioning his experience, questioning his knowledge of the standard of care, and he could not tolerate that. That to me was fascinating. You know, I realize you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen in New York, and you have not yet started a lawsuit, but are thinking of bringing a case, but still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. Well, that's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day, everybody.